It's Tuesday. We're going to go through the trades today. I took 2 trades, got stopped out on the first one, and then closed the second one just a bit early because obviously the first one got stopped out. And then, yeah, you just want to secure some profits, make your loss back. And then I took a tad more profit off that. But price did eventually run to the original TP. So, yeah, we had some pretty nice price action today. I'm kind of pleased that I've been doing these video journals recently because I'm starting to notice a few more repetitions that appear within the chart. So today was kind of similar to yesterday in, you look down here, accumulation, and it was just pretty much like a bullish day. So yesterday's draw on liquidity was the buy side there, and also equilibrium. That was the draw. From there, it's a bit harder to tell just because of the fact, you're at equilibrium and it's like price could go back either way. Like at some point I am maybe expecting this to come back down in this gap here, but yeah, I don't see that happening for at least maybe like a week or two. But I've got sort of more of a bullish sentiment now. Like when you scope out onto the daily chart, you can see, so these are the different layers of liquidity that I've marked. We got, this was yesterday's target, we've got equilibrium, then we've got today's target, and then we've got the liquidity above that, which is another high but on a lower time frame. But you can see it lines up pretty nicely with the bottom of this candle here. So that is yeah, something to keep an eye out for. This grey area is the weekly imbalance that I've marked out, mentioned multiple times. So you can see we are now fully coming back up into this. Whether or not we push back down from, this structure here, or just continue up, time will tell. We'll see. But we got this here, so that was ideal. Yeah, there you go. So I used the top of that candle as the draw on liquidity. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna break this down. So start of the day, accumulate over Asia session, coming into start of the day, push up, Judas swing from the London session just to take out these lows. However, we did hold bullish here. So if we look at yeah, we held bullish here just above, midnight open. So this dashed line here is midnight open. And then, yeah, we filled this imbalance that was created. And then this formed an order block. The fact that this pushed price upwards shows that, we are looking at a potentially more bullish day. So I did have this marked out. Following, these highs getting taken here, you can see that's a breaker structure there, and then same again here. The price just kept going and going and going basically, and with this higher time frame target lined up here, we were sort of accumulating in between equilibrium and yesterday's buy side, and then once we pushed up here, I was waiting for a little retracement. Now going into the actual trade, I was kind of bearish at one point. I was using the Nasdaq for any signs of SMT or just any signs of correlation. So there was one point, I think I did mark it out. Yeah, so we had this inverse fair value gap on the Nasdaq that was kind of bringing me to more of a bearish idea at first, but I did have that higher time frame bullish bias. So it wasn't until I seen this SMT, which I'll get into, where I felt a bit more confident in my positions. And I just had enough confidences today to actually be confident taking 2 positions. Like normally I would just call it a day after one, but after yesterday's move, where are we at? After yesterday's move, I called it a day right here, and my bias was bullish long term. So you can see here we got the two order blocks here. Price came down, tapped the first one, didn't tap the second one. Do we see a similarity here? Oh yeah, you fucking bet we do. Price also does come back into this imbalance here. But anyway, let me get into this. So, you know, we pushed up before 8:30. This order block here, I think, is more of a 15-minute one. Yeah, so it's the wicks of this sort of candle here. So you can see, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bullish candles after that. So I was pretty certain that we would come back and retrace into this zone, if not this fair value gap here at least. We didn't quite clear the buy side. Yeah, so we didn't actually quite clear that buy side that I was targeting. For reference, that is, let me just zoom out. That is this high here. And then we've got this high here. So this is my external liquidity that I'm looking for price to basically go to for the rest of the week, and then maybe see a reversal on Thursday. But yeah, it's just one of those at the moment. We're just seeing how we go. But yeah, so where I got caught out yesterday was, you know, thinking this was my sell model and just going short targeting the second order block. So I wanted to give it a bit more time today to see how we actually, you know, how price reacted off of this first order block. It came in, tapped and moved up, and tapped and came back down again a few times. And then let's just go in here. So you can see here my first trade, it wasn't great risk to reward just because I was looking for an entry. Ideally, like after we broke structure here, and then I was just fumbling about a little bit, and I didn't actually set the trade up properly. Like normally when you create like a limit order, you know, and you set your risk, it balances the trade nicely on each side, whereas, you know, this one I just hit buy and then just picked a number of lots just because it was already moving. I was thinking that basically what's happened here was going to happen there. But, you know, we had this inverse fair value gap created across here. And then come back up, sweep this internal, fill this imbalance here, and then push back down through it just for one final sweep of sell side before the actual move upwards. So I think going into it, is this where I've seen the SMT? So yeah, you can see like this down here is a bit more bearish. Like I was thinking we can maybe push down into this, tap this, but in the end we did just fill this little volume imbalance here. So once we saw that, I was then looking at the NASDAQ at that SMT that I mentioned before. So whereas this has come down like this, NASDAQ came up like that. So it was showing more bullish signs on here that it was going to come up into this fair value gap, you know, which is just below like my target on the S&P. So yeah, so we used this inverse, and the fact that it, you know, this point of interest had been tapped 3 times already. I was kind of thinking, you know, once we get through here, I'll see how we go. And we pushed up out of it. I was like, right, I'm bullish here. Getting in. My original stop was like down here, below this candle, and then as the trade pushed up, I just brought it down, and I trimmed it way more up to like this candle here, and then yeah, it's a lot of chop, a lot of chopping. But you know, price was nicely filling in balances. Like you look at the 3-minute chart. I wanted to see this taken first, and which chart was on? No, I wanted to see the, where is it? Where is it? Hold on 1 minute. Yeah, so this was my main point of interest, these highs here with this. So I wanted to see that. I was just watching. I'm not gonna lie, I was getting like a little bit nervous just because I'd already taken a trade for the day. So you know, when you've already taken one, like normally that is going against my rules, but I was set that this was the move today, especially with what I was looking at. Price was just giving me good signs on both NASDAQ and on here. And I did close it early just to secure some profit. I'm not sure how many pips I actually got, but I'll put that in the video title. One of the reasons for closing early was, see here, we fill this imbalance. I was like, right, there's a tiny imbalance in here. Price came up, gave me a little bit extra, so I was like, right, I'll just take it, recoup the losses, and make like, I think I made like an extra 22 quid profit. So I lost like £34 on the first trade, and then made like 50 something on the other one. So if I'd held this all the way, this would have gone up to like £77 take profit, which would have been nice, you know. And it did, as per usual buy settings in this session. And how close was that? Yeah, 10.39. And then, yeah, comes back down, does its thing. And at this point in the day, I'm not interested in what it has to do. Made my moves, and I'm out for the day, so it's fine. There's definitely more I want to talk about on this trade because, you know, there's a few things going on. I was at work, and then I had to go do something. I had to trade on my phone, and then come back to my desk and stuff. So managing it between my phone and my desk was quite an interesting challenge. But yeah, I was pretty happy with how price moved here. I was pretty relieved that we actually made some profits because you never know. You can never fully assume in the markets, just in case, because it could always be a fake out or something like that. So actually taking something home today on this was nice. 4-hour chart, yeah, like you can see, this is the first start of the move. I wouldn't be surprised if we even trade back down into this at one point before a push up here, or if we take these highs and then come back down before we then start targeting, you know, the reverse side of the fib, which is going to be up here. So these will be our next few targets depending on how price moves over the coming week. I'm almost certain, I'm like 90% certain that at one point we are coming up to this zone right on this inverse. So we'll just have to see how we go there. And yeah, there was no news today as well, which is why I guess it was moving a little bit slower, but it was still manageable. It was causing a bit more uncertainty because it's like, oh, is price actually going to go up to that? Is price actually going to go up to that high because of the fact there's no news? Like, is there enough of a driver to push it up this high, or is it just going to take, you know, this high here or this one here and then reverse down? Because I've seen that happen a few times. But yeah, no, it's just a nice one today. Let's have a look. A bit more testing. So you could have in theory taken a short trade here. You know, like I was trying to do yesterday. So I think, yeah, you see what break down here, displace this low, retrace back up into this order block here, and then you short target midpoint of this order block here. What would that get you? Like, I know at one point I was drawing up short entries, but I just didn't have enough conviction at the time. So what, you put your stop above this high, target middle. Yeah, 2.3 to 1. So it's like, there is setups that form. But But it's just about picking the one that works best for you and which one you feel more comfortable taking. And also, ideally, one that aligns with your higher time frame bias, because if that's the case, you know, and your bias is correct, you're probably going to catch a bigger move. So I think this trade was actually, yeah, 5.29R. So a really nice trade once I trimmed the stop down. If I had the stop in my original spot, which was below, there's like an inverse fair value gap somewhere. Yeah, so this, yeah, oh, I've literally got it marked on a chart. I've been a muppet. Yeah, so my stop was just below it before, and then, you know, just lifted it to there just to reduce risk, get out the trade, and call it a day. So, yeah. No news tomorrow, and also Thursday I think there's a bit of news. So today, oh God, I can't click. Come on. What we got? Annual budget release. Yeah, so nothing major tomorrow, and Thursday is unemployment claims, final GDP, and GDP for the quarter. So we might actually see some movement tomorrow. PCE, CPI. I don't know. Core price index, CPI. I don't know if that's PCE, CPI. I don't know what it's called. Oh right, I guess it's best. Both. You can tell I've been at work all day. My mind's a bit all over the spot. But yeah, right. I'm not going to waffle on for any longer. Nice trade today. So yeah, happy with that. If I don't take another trade for the rest of the week, I'm still up like probably around 90 something pips for the month. So no complaints there. And yeah, I'll see you then.